Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first installment of the Road Between Realities podcast. I am joined here with Cole McCormack of Firewood Media,
Hi.
and we're here to have just a pretty chill conversation on movies and faith and life and music and just a lot of random stuff. We're two guys that are pretty similar, but also I think we've got a lot of differences too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like interesting, compelling things there with just our relationship. I guess to
Yeah.
start off, I met Cole in college. I believe you were a freshman,
I was a
right?
freshman. I
Yeah.
was a film major, as well, film
Mm.
studies major, and then I think like a year later I transferred out to be communication. So
Oh,
we
okay.
kind of met at like the
Nice.
perfect time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I was a film minor. Later switched it to a major, and I guess I remember I was just trying to kind of network with the other film students in the program, and was really interested in working on like a film festival, which Cole came up huge, and we worked together and put one on with a bunch of other talented students, and that was really fun. It was a really cool
yeah.
thing, and it I think that was like the start of a cool relationship. I've since then asked you for like advice
Yeah.
on this whole process of YouTube, and I've actually been I've had the privilege of being on your show,
Oh yeah,
on your
yeah.
podcast, which was it's already like a couple of years now.
That was 2023. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy that was already 2 years
Yeah.
ago
Yeah, it
from
was
the time.
3. Yeah, right, 2023.
Yeah, it was my
Now I'm doubting
well, no,
myself.
no, I think it was
2022.
it was the fall because
Yep,
it was
2022.
around the October film because that's when our film fest
Yeah.
thing was. It was around October.
And that was when I started taking YouTube seriously. So that was 2022.
Yeah,
So
dude.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, we talked about like the stuff we were working on and the film fest and all that and but yeah, we're here to just I really appreciate Cole
Yeah.
to be here to return the favor, and this is no, I'm really excited, and
Coming full
honestly,
circle 3 years later.
yeah, it's like it is cool because I had, and I was just telling Cole this, like when we did that, that was my first experience sitting down in a podcast setting, and I had no idea, like you hear everybody say this, but it's like you have no idea what kind of world you're stepping into, and if it's actually something that it's like, can I do this, or
Right.
it's gonna be silly time, or maybe both, but we had a good time, and I'll put a link in the description of this video from wherever it's being watched of that podcast. But yeah, so just to start off more about your background, just to kind of like I guess ambitions, where you're from as far as like how you came up to get into film and also just like who you are as a person, I guess,
Yeah.
in your goal and visions.
Yeah, so to those that may not know me, hi, I'm Cole. I started out originally way back when I was like 10, making these little stop motion shorts with Lego pieces. I would take Bionicles and I'd put clay around it to make it like a clay armature, and then I would,
Classic.
do little like
Lego
monster
stuff.
movies and whatnot. That's foreshadowing.
Mm.
And so then from there, I grew up gradually, slowly, and I started getting into music around like middle school, high school, and then I embraced film again in 2019, and that was when I made Firewood, which is my 2019 short horror film. It's not good by any means, but it's the namesake of my channel because it was kind of the first short film in forever. And then from there, I just went on a spree, and I made about 20 short films since. I've made about 4 feature films. Yeah, 4 feature films. And right now, I am making also Godzilla content on YouTube, which
Yeah,
was kind of like the weirdest detour of my entire life, which we could talk about later if you like.
definitely. Yeah.
And because that was actually after we kind of like not really parted ways, but like after you had graduated. So it was
Yeah.
like all of a sudden, oh, I'm no longer screaming into the void,
Yeah.
But and yeah, so right now I'm in the middle of recording an album with my band, The Ideal, and I'm also working on a short film called The Quiet Apocalypse, which is all done in Blender, and that's taking forever. So
Man.
it's
I just gotta say, like,
yeah,
hats off to what I mean, seeing your projects like over the years.
yeah,
I the kaiju one. There's so many. Like the kaiju one you did not long ago. That was in a
yeah,
kaiju
restricted
fan
zone,
film
yeah,
contest. Yeah, restricted zone. Um, that's so cool. And to
yeah,
see like independent filmmakers use Blender and this stuff that like it's obviously it's really it's very impressive, and it's like also I really love how you use like a really nice, I feel like an appropriate touch of practical effects,
Yeah.
which is something that I really appreciate, as well as I feel like a lot of people. It's
Yeah.
like a good blend of those two. It's like that's what I feel like some of the best movies have.
I
I don't know,
agree.
like Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
You're just throwing out there, but to do that at like a level that you're at, not having like millions of dollars, it takes like actual and a lot of people don't understand this, but like blood, sweat, and tears of just and like so much time to do that. And
Yeah.
just from like, man, I haven't worked on projects in a while, but I'm trying to get back into it. I'm working on something that I'll talk about later,
Hmm.
but it is like you have to like pause things in your life, and you really have to like make
Yeah.
sure that you have time to do that. And so to like continue to like evolve your craft and to see how it's like grown. And like you have like a team of people, of friends you work with.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, you guys are like kind of a family, like a
Yeah.
Firewood family, I'd call
Yeah.
it. But yeah, you want to shout them out a little bit, I
Yeah, for
guess?
sure. So the main one that I've worked with forever is my buddy Joe. He's been in almost every single project that I've done, at least feature film wise. I think, yeah, he's been in every feature film of mine. And we got Jesse, who has acted in a ton of stuff, and he was hesitant to show his face for a while. So he was actually in Bank. He was the guy that you were gonna
Oh,
work with on
okay.
that
Yeah,
project.
yeah.
And
Gotcha.
and so he wears like a mask for that one, and he never really takes it off. And then but now he's shown his face a couple times. He's
Nice.
been in
Nice.
feature films. But my buddy Nick, who's in a ton of my stuff, and then Layla, who does a lot of the special effects, and then my girlfriend, who helps out with a lot of like the behind the scenes stuff with producing and whatnot. So
Cool. Yeah.
yeah,
Man.
it's a whole team. Not even to mention then like for the YouTube videos, the editors that I work with, and the co-writers and all that type of stuff. So it's a production at this point. It used to
Yeah.
be just me sitting in my room making movies, and now it's like
That's that's what it's about, man.
Yeah.
That's like as a kid growing up with YouTube, and like kind of after that age of what I believe, was some really amazing cinema. I think like we
Yeah.
grew up in a time where we had like so much of that, just obviously all the old stuff, and then we I mean, we were just talking about like Transformers off
Yeah.
camera, and obviously some of that stuff is like, as it gets kind of like run down with all the sequels being made now. But I feel like we grew up in a time where that was like so innovative and new,
Right.
and like, oh, it was so cool to see that, and to grow up with like this technology that we've had. I mean, as I'm literally recording this on my iPhone.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's nuts.
but that's, I feel like, is just something that I like to. I don't know, like I mean, this is just, I guess, kind of segueing into kind of the next sort of talking point,
Mhm.
being like a call to action to inspire other people to like make their own stuff.
Yeah.
And to just gauge a sense of like how real it is, because I feel like you're at a level right now where, like, respectively, dude, I'm not trying to like inflate your ego, but I feel like I was thinking to myself like, man, or no, I was well, I was like bragging to like my mom. I'm like, dude, like, mom, like, you check out this dude's channel. Like, I mean, and I've told her, she knows that we've worked together on
Yeah.
things, but it in that time, I mean, I remember, dude, your channel, when you hit 100 subs.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That was
And like,
right, I think, before the
dude,
film fest too, and that was
yeah,
like the
and
one that
like
we put on.
I've seen you grow exponentially, and
Mhm.
you're almost at what, 30K?
Yeah,
Like,
we're at I think 26K right now.
it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's real. And I remember being a kid, taking in all the media that we did as kids, and kind of finding our niche
Yeah.
YouTubers and like seeing them grow,
Yeah.
over time. It's like there's a method to this,
Yeah.
and to see you and to get advice too, from you directly, has been a tremendous blessing. And I think that there's a lot of cool insights that you have to spread light or shed light on. What I really love too is like, how you've just been working with your friends, and and you're
Thank
just
you.
making it
Thank
come to
you.
life.
Yeah.
Like, that is like the coolest thing. And to me, I feel like you're already there,
Mhm.
because it's like, I mean, you like got your merch on.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you've got I mean, I'm trying to get there one day, man. I'm trying to get to that first feature length film
Yeah.
soon, someday. And
Yeah.
but that's something that's just like, hats off to you, man. So
Thank you.
impressive.
Thank
'Cause,
you.
like, it's just a full, like, 90-minute, hour long,
Yeah.
even 2 hour long movie is
Yeah.
like such an undertaking. And but to do it in a way that's like no low budget,
Mhm.
um
No budget with us.
no
I
budget,
mean-
yeah, no budget. It's kind of unheard of in
Yeah.
today's day and age, but I feel like more and more people, we're seeing this kind of stir of like underground independent media, and a lot of like fan
Yeah.
fans, like fan bases making their own content, whether whether they use AI or not, and that's we'll
Yeah, we'll
talk
talk
about
about it. Yeah.
AI. We'll get into that after this, after this part, but yeah, I just it's awesome,
Yeah.
and I guess like I want to know more about how I guess you schedule all this to like because that's obviously you know in itself like
Yeah.
a huge undertaking, and I don't know, just to shed light on like kind of just the process of like how do you go about like okay you have a short film like a
Yeah.
5 minute short film that's like oh I got to make this real I want to make this happen and it's like all right like where do you go from the idea to like uploading it onto YouTube and it's like all right the promotion
Right.
to start to finish, I
Yeah.
guess, like that whole process.
I'm a big idea guy first and foremost. One of my favorite filmmakers who just passed recently, David Lynch. His whole thing was
Rest in
ideas.
peace. Yeah.
Like
Ah,
you need to be fishing for ideas all the time. That you're not always going to get an idea.
real.
Sometimes you're just going to be sitting there, casting out lines forever, and
Mhm.
you're not going to get it. Sometimes you're going to be lucky and get like 20 in a day.
Yeah.
And so for me, I don't try to rush myself with the idea process. That's the one time where I don't have any deadlines. I just say, okay, whatever comes, comes. Sometimes I'll be just driving in my car without any music. Sometimes I'll have music on. I'll listen to like a film score that I love, like Twin Peaks. I love that score. I just have that on all the time whenever I'm like just looking for an idea, or It Follows, or really whatever I'm kind of like looking for. Sometimes I'll hit liked songs and I'll hit shuffle, and I will hit it until I find a song that I call either a credit song or a title song, which is songs that play at the credit of this
Dude,
hypothetical movie in my
that's
brain
crazy.
or at the title. And then I
That's
just
weird.
go from there. And so like I'll give you a good example.
Okay.
I was driving and Betty Davis Eyes came on by Kim Carnes. And so I was like, oh my God, that dun, 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 started playing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I can already picture the
Okay.
ending of this
Not to
movie.
cut you,
Yeah,
but
and that's
like
Pesticide.
I was
That's how I
saying,
got the whole end of
dude,
that.
and I said you might have heard me say that's
Yeah.
weird. That to me, because I do that same thing.
Yeah.
That's what kind of got me into the space of starting to grow my own ideas was
Yeah.
like listening to a song and then like swinging around like like a lightsaber
Yeah.
because that was the first project that I ever actually took in time to like seriously work on was like a Star Wars fan film.
Yeah.
But that's actually I feel like some real advice is
Yeah.
actually like finding music and like music without lyrics too. I mean it could have lyrics,
Yeah.
but I that is like that's cool.
The most important advice I could say to anyone is have a notes app thing on your phone, or I use Google Docs religiously. If you get an idea,
Same.
I do both. I have a dream journal and a film idea thing. Most of my movies come from dreams. That's where most of them kind of come from. And like my
cool.
first feature film was Another Day Closer to the Sun, and that came from a dream. Like that was literally as soon as I have a dream where if it was a nightmare, if it was a normal dream, I write it down because it's like you could always use this.
We got Joseph over here getting the visions. It's like, oh,
The funniest thing was you're good. The funniest thing was I was going through an old Google account that I had from middle school, and I had this thing it was a doc titled Music Video Ideas, and it was like 8 pages of ideas, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a gold mine.
oh,
Because even though most are kind of crap, but it was
Yeah.
like, I might want this someday, even
Of
for like a
course.
little idea.
Heck yeah.
And ideas are so important to me because it's like that is the bread and butter of everything. Usually in the writing process, and I think you could really see this with some of my older stuff like in Pesticide, that was just sporadic ideas that I just somehow found a way to connect all of the tissue, and that was the biggest hassle of that whole movie. But gradually it's gotten more and more kind of focused with my work, for better or for worse. But that's the biggest part for me is ideas. And then it comes to outlining, scripting. Sometimes if I just have the film in my brain, I'll just write it out in script format as if I'm just watching it and I'm just doing it in real time. And that's what I call a vomit copy, where then I'll just vomit it all out onto the page.
Gotcha.
Then I'll take it, have like 2 scripts on the same monitor, and then I'll actually fine tune it for the real first draft. And then kind of go from there. And then usually with scripts, I'll give myself like a month. If I'm not feeling it by a month, I scrap it. Because otherwise it's like I'm going to be spending, at least a rough draft. Like if I can have a tangible copy, even if it's 20 pages, it's supposed to be a feature, which usually a feature script is like 120 pages. But, if I get like that, I'll be like, okay, I'll move forward with it. It's something, it's structure.
Yeah.
Filming, on the other hand, is a beast because that involves so much pre-production, which is, I could spend forever just talking about that because I think, this even just setting up the mics here.
Yeah.
anything
like,
that will go wrong can go wrong.
yeah, and I feel like that's where a lot of people kind of like hang it up is like, oh, I
Yeah.
don't know how to use a camera, I don't know how to use a mic, I don't know, and like it's I mean fair, but
Yeah.
also the technology that we have access to is become a lot
Yeah.
easier to use, and it doesn't mean that you can't like grow up to that space
Oh,
where
yeah.
you're using really nice camcorders and like boom mics and stuff. I mean that you've got like a full
Yeah.
like is that I guess would you kind of go into that kind of
Yeah.
how you've
Well,
accumulated
I
your
was
stuff a little bit,
fortunate
just
enough
to...
that my grandpa was a professional photography for
Oh,
years.
yeah.
So he, there's this picture that he took of, I always mess up all the Armstrongs. Louis Armstrong was the trumpet player,
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So there's a picture of him where he's like laughing, he's like holding the trumpet, and my grandpa took that picture when he was in town.
Whoa.
And so I have that. My grandma's gonna throw it out. I'm like,
What?
no, I want
Grandma!
that so bad.
Are you kidding?
And she's like,
The
are
original
you sure?
picture?
Yeah, the original
Oh,
picture. And
what?
it's like sitting on this like poster board. It was like slapped together.
That's
So
so cool.
I have that up above my bed right now. I gotta frame it properly. It's just kind of sitting on the poster board still from like however long ago that picture was taken.
That's awesome.
But he was a big Nikon guy. He was a big Tamron guy. So for me, the way it worked was he'd give the hand-me-downs to my dad, and this is when I was born. And so then my dad would then give his hand-me-downs to me. So I was like 6, and I was like running around with a Nikon DSLR that was like outdated by like 20 years.
But like, man.
So like I had one of the very first digital Nikons, because when that came out, my grandpa bought it immediately. And so it was like, oh, and like I learned what ISO was when I was like 10 because I needed to, because I didn't know how to flip to auto. I would just like, I'd have it in M because my dad would be like, you're gonna learn how to do this manually, like you're not gonna let the computer do it for you. And so for me it was just like I would go nuts with that. I was just taking pictures all the time. It's the funniest thing, man. The stop motion movies I would do, I'd shoot on DSLRs, and the pictures were shot in RAW. So they'd be like 4,000 by 3,000 pixels. But the problem is that I would export them in Windows Movie Maker, so it would take all that and compress it down to 360p. So it looks awful when you go back and actually try to watch it. It's the funniest thing, because I'm like, I wonder where those files are, because I bet it'd be funny to try to, get them from somewhere. But so growing up with that was just a huge thing. It's like that was just ingrained almost into my genetics, with like photography and everything. Awesome. But videography is a whole different beast. And for me, that was just trial and error. Like when you watch Firewood, my first feature film, first short film, it's like half of it's like not even in focus, because it's like I'd set the focus and then it would change because something would move, like I'd move backwards and then it would go out of frame or something. And so over time though, like you'll learn like, okay, well, audio's huge, and audio's big, so I need to like invest in a good mic. And I bought my first ever like mic that I would carry around. It was a Rode video mic, and I thought at the time this was like amazing because it sounded great, at least I thought it did. The problem was it was from like 2005, so it was very compressed. And if there was wind, even if you put like a wind muff on it, it still sounded like almost like gurgly. It was disgusting. Recently, I finally picked up an MKE 3000 Sennheiser, and that's like, it's so good.
I'm not too akin to a lot of the tech stuff, but I'm getting there.
Yeah,
I'm getting there.
My big thing is my gimbal. I love this gimbal that I bought. It's a Ronin RSC2, and I just like, it's my baby. I love it so much. I was just doing a music video shoot yesterday. I didn't use a tripod. I just used that. It's for a band called Bellens, and I've been doing some commercial videography work, but the big thing is when I was first really starting out, I got a professional gig doing a music video for a ska band called Something to Do. And I was like, okay, even though they're not paying me, I have all this money saved up from like summer jobs and stuff. I'm going to buy a Blackmagic Cinema camera, 4K, which you've seen me use that.
Yeah.
It's a beast, but it's a painful beast because like the focus is crazy. Like it's like you can't move an inch or else you're out of focus. Like everything about it is ridiculous. So I did a lot of gigs with that. I ended up being able to actually pay off, how much I spent into that, which was really nice.
That's awesome.
But now I'm using a Sony A7 III camera, and that is like magic. Like it has an autofocus thing. Like I could literally whip the camera on, then have it on you, and it'd be still in focus. Like it's crazy. And so I use that for all my, kind of commercial stuff, and even for my, movie stuff now. So that's kind of like my setup right now. I've been using Zoom H6N, because I used to shoot on a Zoom H1N, which are these like little, like it looks like a granola bar. Like they're like black, and there's like a little thing at the top that's like metal. It's garbage. Like it's fine if you're just starting out, but I wanted one with an XLR cable, and the H6N has that, and it's so nice. But that's it's just it's a constant thing though with gear. You're just constantly upgrading, and it's a shame because you kind of like what I'd say is like learn what works best for you.
Yeah.
Like my biggest mistake, as much as I love that camera, was getting that Blackmagic,
Mm.
because I was so familiar with DSLRs, and that's a mirrorless cinema camera, and it's just two different worlds. So I didn't know what I was doing for most of my shoots at first. Like I was shooting in ProRes. That's for Apple. I didn't have a Mac. You know, like I know what I was doing. So there's so much converting that was involved, and it was like I just wish I bought the Sony A7 III originally. Like if I could travel back in time, I'd tell myself, don't buy the Blackmagic, buy this. But just I'd say figure out what works best for you. Like if you're an iPhone person, just look up like, you know, looking for a more professional camera, you know, that is similar to an iPhone, and you could, I'm sure, find stuff. Like Reddit is a great resource, as much as I hate that website with every fiber of my being.
It can be a great, you know, on one side.
Yeah.
On one side, with like that, you can actually get some really good.
But it's just I don't know. I've been editing recently on CapCut, actually. I've been a Premiere person for my whole life. Oh, roughly, I was Vegas for a little bit, Windows Movie Maker when I was a child. But, you know, in high school, I started doing Premiere, and I loved it. And now I'm on CapCut, which is so funny because it's so basic in comparison. But I love it's mainly for YouTube that I use it. It's got transcription-based editing. So, you know, you run it through, you get the whole, everything that was said in the whole video, and then you can just cut out any pauses. It's amazing.
That is nice.
The worst was I was editing a video, and then it just stopped working. And I'm like, that's weird. And I look it up, and CapCut is owned by TikTok. It was when the government...
Actually, I think I was trying to use it when that happened.
And I was like, oh, great. This is going to put me back by like a couple of weeks.
Dang.
But my point, though, is I was kind of rambling a bit. But my point is that with your gear, you're always going to be changing it up. And that's for the better. I would not recommend it. I'd say just find something that you like and stick to it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. The biggest thing, like you said, is like the ideas and like making that come to life, like acting on it. And so like if you have like just an iPhone, that's all you need.
I mean, honestly, gear doesn't matter, I think, at least. If you have something that's serviceable, you're fine. Like the microphone that I've used for all my videos was $60. You know, like there's people out there that are using like $400 mics, and it's like,
and you can get a pass with like a like $60 one.
Like Samson Q2U, that's the mic I use, and I adore it. It's it's a USB mic. There's an XLR thing too, but like I use the USB all the time. It's so clean. Like it works for my voice, because you know that's one thing I learned in all my audio classes is you got to have a mic that fits your voice. Otherwise, you're gonna spend more time EQing, and so it just works with what I do. I love it, but it's very punchy, which I like too. But
that's good info.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Well, transitioning, I suppose, into tech stuff. That's good to know, actually, though, because I'm like, I myself, literally, I'm like, I gotta get some like game from dude before he leaves.
Samson Q2U. That's what I'd recommend.
Okay.
Even like I use it for ADR stuff as well, like when I film stuff.
Okay.
Because it just sounds good. Like
I've actually had to go in and do that a couple times already, and
I ADR everything, even if I don't need it. It's nice just to have it in case something happens.
True.
It's like
I
feel like Batman with all my contingencies sometimes. You know, it's like
that's not a bad problem, man. That is sheesh. Well, transitioning into another tech topic. AI. You've been making you've been stirring up a lot of conversations which I think are really productive, and really it's just, you know, stuff that needs to be talked about when it comes to the use of AI in art, in film, movies, music, etc. We'll mainly be talking about like the you know, creative entertainment, like film side of it. But I guess first off the bat, do you personally use it for anything when it comes to like behind the scenes? Like,
I use Grammarly a lot, which hardly I think counts, because that's more just like basic spell check. But I use Grammarly all the time, like not even like a sponsored plug or anything. Like I love it. It's great, especially when I work with citations and whatnot, to make sure that like when I'm citing stuff that I'm doing everything right, because they have like a citation kind of thing too, which is really good. But beyond that, I really, the thing is like whenever a new tool comes out, I'll test it out, which I think a lot of people who are very anti-AI might find to be hypocritical. Like when ChatGPT first came out, I was messing with it just to see like what it could do, never really using it for anything. when Gemini came out and they had their deep research tool, I tested that out because that to me was very intriguing because it was like, oh my gosh, I could save so much time. But the problem is it's so surface level with its deep research. And same with ChatGPT. It's like with ChatGPT, you could be like, you know, write me a Firewood media script about Godzilla versus Mothra, and it'd be like, well, okay, it's gonna give me the most bare bones thing.
Yeah, it's not like
not
there's not a lot of substance there yet.
It's very repetitious.
But
and
even I don't know if it I don't know, do you see it like, because I was listening to you know, another conversation recently about this and how it's used, and I guess like some, you know, a lot of people who are pro AI or use it a lot will I guess they'll, you know, they'll have the argument of like well, I mean, you know, you could say that people back when the camera was made were against that because it's like, oh, you should go out and actually, you know, paint the image.
Yeah, I think a really good analogy that I hear a lot that I disagree with, I say it's good because it kind of fits with what we're talking about, is when digital cameras came out as opposed to film cameras, there's this whole thing of, well, you're not really doing anything because you're just, you know, hitting the button and then it takes the picture as opposed to film.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
And I disagree on that basis though, because with AI, yes, there's prompting involved, because I'm someone where when something like this comes out, you know, I try to do as much research as possible. I don't try to just write it off immediately because I think it's important to be open-minded creatively. But my thing though with AI, and my main problem with it, has less to do with the ease of it. I think that's the appeal of it for sure for a lot of people.
Yeah,
like not everyone can, you know, illustrate to the extent that they would like to, so they use AI, which, you know,
me.
We'll talk about that for sure.
Yeah.
But my main issue with it is less that and more two things: oversaturation and what they are feeding into it. That is my biggest problem. There is a thing right now where you can go up and look up whether or not your YouTube videos have been used by AI illegally. Like if someone has ripped your stuff and used it for like Sora, and my stuff has been ripped. And so it's kind of like, that's immediately where I'm like, okay, I would have liked compensation. I've had people offer compensation in the past, and I won't really talk too much about that. I've turned them down every time. I've had 6-figure offers, and I'm like, I'm not doing this. Sorry, 5-figure offers, not 6-figure. But it was like, it could have gone up to 6. And I'm like, I'm not doing this, because my main problem with that is I don't know how it's going to be used. I don't want my face to be ripped, even though it probably will be. I'm sure someone's going to deep fake my face one of these days.
But it's
onto
different
something
to
horrific.
give yourself consent to that. Like,
and I feel like
I guess,
because it's my stuff, I'm allowed to do that. And you know, that's my main issue, is the fact that, like, for example, the big thing that's been all over Twitter recently is the Studio Ghibli stuff. Which I don't know when you're going to put this video up, but that might date it. I don't know. But the Studio Ghibli stuff, people are taking Studio Ghibli stuff and they're running it through AI to, like, feed it into that without the consent of Studio Ghibli, because, of course, that is copyrighted content. And then they're pumping out, you know, whatever they want with it. And that's I think, a problem, because that is... It borders on being plagiarism. I wouldn't say legally it is, because that's AI is such a weird legal battleground.
It just feels
right
more
now.
morally wrong.
It's morally wrong,
and it's like, you can feel it though, which is, I feel like, the positive note. And I feel like you're doing a really great job of, like, leading the charge with like really, you know, really good. You know, you're standing on ground and you're standing on business when it comes to, like, hey, like, there's, you know, there's something kind of sacred here, and if you don't really see that as a human, that's kind of weird, you know.
In general, I think my views on art are kind of hippie-ish, but it's like, you know, birds sing all the time, you know, like they don't do it because, like, they're trying to get, like, a good CTR, you know, or like they're trying to get views or engagement. They do it because they can, and I think that's the same way that I view art with humans. It's like, we make it, we do it because we can, and I think that running that through a machine, and I'm not dogging on you or anything, I'm just saying, you know, but by doing that, it's like, you're kind of like, you're losing what it means to be human in a way. You're automating something that we should all strive for. I mean, like, in a perfect world, in my ideal world, you would be using AI to do the jobs that we don't want to do, so we can spend more time creating and doing things ourselves with our own hands. And that's kind of like my main, you know, qualm with it.
I'm optimistic. I feel like hopefully that's where we're headed.
I've used AI in the past for example, the one time I used AI on an actual film project was with Wayward Sons. I wanted a poster.
I remember
So
that.
I
Yeah,
ran through
it was a
every
cool
single
poster.
frame of the entire movie into this AI kind of thing that I was like doing, and it pumped out this really kind of sick poster where there was like the ghost that I wanted and everything, and it was kind of cool. But that was like right when AI imagery was kind of coming out, so
Yeah,
that was
like I remember
it
that.
was
That was
very
really
like
new.
it was it wasn't over saturated at that time. You know, like no one was really kind
No.
of doing that stuff except for like people that were really
No,
invested
no,
in
not
that.
at all. I remember I was like, man, how did dude get the software to do this?
Yeah.
Like but
All Mid-Journey, but it's just the problem is that even with Mid-Journey, I'm like 99.9% sure that it wasn't using just my stuff. That was the part I really hated, and that's why I never really published it officially. I think it somehow got out. I don't know how. Like if you look up Wayward Sons right now, I'm pretty sure that poster is like one of the things, because it's kind of like a green poster. The main one that I ended up using, I ended up just hiring an artist, which is what I do every single time I need something like that.
Right.
Where, I know that not everyone can hire an artist. But it's also like I don't think AI should be the first choice.
No, definitely not. And it's like if you're, putting a lot of time and energy into that and you want this thing to live on, like I feel like you should have that kind of intentionality to want to add somebody else to this thing too. And for them to kind of, I mean, and there's so much you can give them to like make it cooler and more accurate. And I mean, I don't know, we could get into the details of like how good the art is,
Right.
And let's just say for devil's advocate that AI made something like identical to the guy that you paid. Like even still, it's just like the human, the human element and being able to work with somebody that can, kind of nuance it just a little bit, even like just that, even the smallest nuance. Because man, I get so frustrated with ChatGPT, and it's just like, well, whatever. I'm just kind of having fun with it, and I just want to go back to what I use it for mainly.
Right,
Is I love to storyboard like in my journal in little tiny like boxes. I do like really tiny storyboard sheets, and sometimes the storyboard will just be like I'll just have the words of what the scene is, and it's just like, okay, it's in my head, so I know it. And but recently I've been kind of making like I like vision board kind of things towards projects that I'm working on, and it's been helping me kind of like grow the idea, I guess. But like there's this poster that I'll show you after this, and I'll post it. Well, I don't even know if I want to post it on this screen. I won't, because it does look weird, and it's not. But I'm gonna show you just so you know what I'm talking about. It's like a fake movie poster for the next short film I'm working on, the next like movie, whatever. And I made this because it was my really good friend Chris, Primetime Films. Shout out to Chris. I messaged him and I was like, hey, I got a role for you, and yada yada yada, and to kind of give him like an idea and to sell him on like the aesthetic of everything, and the plot and kind of what the movie would like, the tone, everything about it. I was like, all right, let me just like conjure up a quick little poster. Let's see if it kind of encapsulates some of this to convey to my client, or the person that I'm working with in this case, who's literally, he's a we're considered each other brothers, and and it's like, it's not like this is what we're gonna have. This isn't the final product for sure, but it's just to kind of get, I'm trying to sell him on the idea, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And so that's like what I've been using it for, I guess. And I don't know. I guess it's like that's me just kind of clearing my conscience, I suppose, about using it. And I if people are like, oh, I don't know, I still don't agree with that. I still don't agree. And I agree with what you have to say about. I think that's something that I actually would really like to emphasize, is just like you're just kind of dehumanizing yourself as like an artist. And like you hear the big thing I keep hearing is like, pick up the pencil.
Pick up the pencil, bro.
And I'm like, honestly, I'm trying to get there. But in those types of moments, I guess, like when I'm more focused on the story and like writing what the characters are gonna say and stuff, and focusing on like the props to make this the actual live set. I for that's just where I kind of am like, okay, this isn't the end of the world, and in that case for me. But like I completely agree though. Like I don't know, I and my sister, she's this is the same class as you guys, actually. You guys are in the same graduating class, but she's like in the art program with illustrating and drawing. And
I'd be curious to see
the consensus is with AI there, especially
I
from
know, I'm
professors,
really.
because I've heard certain things.
I've joked with her and sent her some memes over like the family group chat or whatever, and but I mean the overall consensus is like basically what we're talking about here, and for um, justifiably so, especially because like what you had to say about the Studio
Ghibli, yeah. I say
Studio
Ghibli. I've
okay.
seen some people say Ghibli, but
because I
Ghibli,
was
yeah.
listening, Studio Ghibli. But she has her own kind of art style, you know, and so I was like immediately that's what I thought about. I'm like, oh, she would like, there's no way she would think that that's cool, and,
right?
And I get like, oh, I'm making a cute little profile pic with my partner or whatever, and like, sure, that's harmless, but like, I think just like the idea that like, I think that here's kind of where I want to land this on, where I feel like we're gonna agree, and where we can just kind of, I feel like most people should, I believe most people ought to agree that like we don't need to be getting hyped about this. We don't need to be getting hyped for like, dude, something that makes me so mad. And I shouldn't like, it doesn't make me that mad, but it's like I think of your videos and what you have to say about this, and I'm like, it's so true. Is I've been seeing these Invincible trailer reactions, and it's got like Henry Cavill as Omni-Man.
Oh yeah, I talked about that a little bit.
On.
Yeah,
you did, okay.
Yeah,
and I'm like, and like I saw this guy reacting like, dude, this needs to happen, and I'm like, respectively, no. Like, I love those actors. I think they're great, but it's like the trailer looked so weird, you know, and like, and I'm like, why are we getting hyped for this stuff? Like, Invincible's awesome. That's a great show entirely. But I
still haven't seen it. My brother loves it. He loves it, but I'm like, I gotta watch.
Yeah, sure. Oh,
yeah, he loves that show.
Oh man, season 3, yeah, it's good. It's good, and that's something about that show that makes it so cool, is like the animation and the fact that the animator, like the fight scenes where the animators will just go that extra. They'll put in that little extra oomph. It's like you can feel that. I feel like there is literally like some type of emotional, like there's an emotional like connection there that if you were to replace with AI, it would just be kind of a disconnect.
You said something really interesting with that, mentioning that reaction of, like, this needs to happen, and like this is what I want to happen. There's a movie that I saw that has completely changed how I thought about art since I saw it. Like, it is called Beau's Afraid. It's with Joaquin Phoenix. And that was a movie where when I first saw it, I was like, oh, like it wasn't what I wanted it to be, and I was kind of like disappointed, because I was kind of like, this is the guy that made, Midsummer and Hereditary, and like, not that I was expecting horror, because I don't think it was marketed as horror.
Crazy psychological. Those two, I mean, maybe I'm just like everybody else on this, but those two to me are like some of the most psychologically out there, but there's like something compelling about that in a way that's like,
but with Beau's Afraid, the more it sat with me, the more it was like, I didn't expect it, I didn't want it, but I still, like, it just couldn't leave my mind, and it was something that I personally could never come up with. And that's why I think that AI is so hazardous to the way that we're going to consume art, because it's like, if we can just go, give me a picture of XYZ. So for example, that poster for Wayward Sons, right, that I, did with AI, I was like, yeah, okay, it's kind of what I had in mind, kind of not, whatever. When I commissioned the artist who did that, his name is Christopher Castillo Diaz, he's so talented. I sent him, I'm like, look, here's some of the frames from the movie. Here is a Batman poster that I love. It was like kind of like a dark blue, like kind of like monochrome type thing. It was really awesome. And like a poster to like The Exorcist, that was like of this character like walking up the stairs, if the priest ends up, going down at the end of the movie. And I was like,
I remember that one now.
Try to kind of like combine all these elements, but the main idea is like, and I kind of like just sent him all this stuff. And he sent me something that I could have never expected, nor did I know that I want. And that is, I think, the beauty of human-made art, or really just art in general. It's like, this is stuff that I think is like so valuable, because it's the unexpected. With AI, it's feeding stuff that's already been made, right? And you could say the same thing with human minds. Like, we're just perceiving everything that we've already seen, and then like doing that. Like, they say that like nothing's original anymore, or that the best artists steal. But I think that there's something inside the human mind that is different than AI, that AI will never be able to have, and that is like like it will never have humanity. You know what I mean? That's what allows us to create some really out there stuff that no one else could ever make except for that one person. Like, for example, you love Star Wars. I don't think anyone else could have made Star Wars except for George Lucas.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
You could have fed Flash Gordon, all the influences into AI, and it would have never made Star Wars. And that's
the beauty of, I think, human ingenuity, and I think
Yes,
that's
yeah.
why I'm so, I guess, pro-human in that sense.
No, right. It's
Like-
funny that we're having like
Yeah.
this conversation, but it is, and like, hey,
Yeah.
I respect robots. Like,
In case
if
the
you're
uprising
listening.
happens,
Yeah.
you're trying to kind of save yourself right now.
I always say thank you to my ChatGPT. Like,
the one thing at band practice that we do, we downloaded character AI onto my phone, and we'll
Oh
like
my
call up
gosh.
like AI Peter Griffin and
I
just like
love that.
psychologically torment
See?
him. Like, and that's
Oh,
how we know
dude.
that like we're first when the robots do rise up. Like, we know that they're coming for us first because we psychologically
gosh.
tormented him. Like,
Oh goodness.
but
No, that's like, yeah, no, that's I was calling Optimus Prime the other day for some like motivation. That's actually like, I think it's just, yeah, you really got to find that balance of and I feel like, yeah, that you just got to find that balance of like, okay, where's the line here?
Yeah.
And I don't think like we're gonna like, there's no like set structure of that because we're all figuring it out right now. Like,
right.
I was just thinking too, like, I actually forgot I did my last video as of the time of us recording this.
Mhm.
The thumbnail I used is like completely AI.
Right.
Like, I won't lie, it's just like me in this like kind of outfit, only
Yeah.
it's like the action figure trend that
Right.
was like a trend, and that was one that I thought that was kind of cool because like with an action figure, for like, you know, let's say you wanted to make or send your like dad a special message or something, I don't know,
Yeah.
somebody in your life, something cool, and you wanted to it, you know, kind of send them something to just, I don't know, make them smile, make
Yeah.
them think, or just a creative concept, I guess.
Right. Well, my thing though with AI thumbnails, because I've seen a lot of them,
Yeah, I want to
especially
hear this
in the space. My thing with thumbnails has always been, my philosophy is, if I saw it, would I click on it? You know, I'll do other things where I'll like in Photoshop like minimize it so it's like this small on my screen, and then I'll kind of like stand back and be like, can I read everything that's on there too? Because like, I've had thumbnails that are so busy, it's like, what is even going on at this point?
I feel that.
So that's my main philosophy. And my personal philosophy is, I will never click on an AI thumbnail. Like, if I detect, and I'm sorry, like,
No.
I still haven't seen that
That's
video.
the thing with thumbnails,
like,
though. It's like, because like that's what I'm saying. I love that you actually
Yeah.
are bringing this about. Is that it's like, because that video isn't made for, it's just like, it's like a training video.
Yeah.
It's just a video I made for complete fun, honestly.
Yeah.
Just to like practice some editing.
and that's cool. I'm just saying, with me personally, if I notice that it's like, that's AI, I'm not going to click on that. And it's like, even I didn't even see like who posted it. I remember vaguely, and I'm like, I think that's, I don't know, I'm not gonna.
No, dude,
it's just my own
that's
personal.
real. I needed to
beliefs.
say that because I was acting like I didn't use it on my channel at all, and I do. I have some thumbnails where I used like a picture that I got from AI, and then I put it over a picture that's not, and I just kind of use it as a character that, because I have characters that I create as original characters, but again, like I want to be able to like get to a position where I can pay people to, and
not everyone can. I completely understand.
Yeah.
I'm at a place where I can, within reason. I think the most expensive piece of art that I've ever commissioned was maybe $100, and that was for a t-shirt design that I did for Pesticide. It's got like the bear, it's like all like psychedelic looking, like that was really cool because the dude literally like graffitied it for real. And that was like, it was nuts because I was like, look, here's the movie, watch it and just have fun with it. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, go nuts. And that's
awesome.
Again, that unexpectedness that I love in art.
Yeah, like somebody could come at you with like a whole pitch of like of like what they have to offer, and like, and like really like, I mean, I just, back to what I was saying about the action figure thing, where I'm going, where this is my headspace, is like I'm not going to create an action figure of this thing like physically. So that's why I thought that trend was like, comparatively to the Studio Ghibli one, that I think that was kind of like, it's just another social media trend. And I don't know, I mean, to each their own. I think it does kind of come down to personal preference, and I think this is maybe where we kind of like maybe could agree to disagree when it comes to like just being able to use it, because I actually have made like real action figures too. And, like,
I remember that you did that one.
So it is kind of funny
the
that
businessman one, right?
Yeah,
that was
done,
cool.
and I've done like for other characters I've made them, but it's just, that's me being lazy and not wanting to go to the store and getting an action figure and paint it and all that. But I mean, when it comes to like merchandising and it, like, especially when you're actually selling parts of your channel and your business, your brand, I feel like I don't know, I don't think it would be wise to use AI, because I don't think people, like you said with the thumbnail thing, it's like that's just kind of unappealing, you know. It's like, I'm not really interested.
Now, there are some things that I do find fascinating that I would be more than willing to like use if it gets better. And the two things for that would be, one, is taking a 2D picture and then turning that into a 3D model. I've experimented with that a couple of times, but that's hardly even like AI. That's more just like,
Yeah,
it's just doing a bump.
that's
I
kind of
can't
what
think
my thing is. I guess
like
what I was
there's
trying.
tools that you could do that
Yeah,
already,
is
kind of,
that
but
I'm putting myself on trial, but
yeah.
is that not kind of what I'm doing with because the thumbnail I'm referring to is my original character,
Yeah.
Scripture Man,
Yeah.
and it's my design, my outfit, I articulated all of it
Yeah.
like from scratch, and I have like I'm literally wearing my like my garb,
Right, yeah.
part of it, but I suppose I suppose that I don't know. I guess it still falls short ultimately because, like you said, I think
So,
that
yeah.
the high road of it ultimately, like honestly, if you're really gonna go there, is like always like you could always pay somebody to do that.
Right. My thing is, so when I was, there's this kind of a very lengthy story. I'll try to condense it. When I was 11, I made a short film called Hear You the Fire Dragon. It's like a giant monster movie. And I did it out of like Bionicle things, right? And then I did a video on the 10-year anniversary going like, look, this is where I kind of started, like, look at
That's
this.
awesome.
And then like someone commented like, oh, you should do like a remake of this like in your own style now. And I was like, that's kind of cool. So I hired a concept artist to essentially do like a new version of Hear You using like all the old like pictures that I could find that were like high quality. And they came up with so many different variations. Like one was like more of like a lava monster and one was like a mech, but we settled on one specific one. And then from there, I then like took that and I made that from 2D to 3D, using that technology, but it just wasn't there yet. So I
Yeah, it was not
modeled it
the same.
myself, but
Yeah.
it just like, and I think that would be kind of the thing is if you maybe had like a concept artist or did something, I don't know, like
Yeah.
maybe, I'm not saying that I think you still own the character. I don't think,
Yeah.
I'm not at all saying you don't. I'm
No.
just saying that like,
This is great though.
you know,
I love
yeah.
these conversations, and I think this is where I really honestly I wanted to get to a point where we could kind of like find a spot where it
Yeah.
was like, because I went into this with the AI thing like this was with this interview. This was kind of like a catalyst for talking to you because
Yeah.
I saw a lot of your videos, and I genuinely am like, man, I got to learn more about this.
Right.
I'm starting to get into just trying to elevate where I'm at.
Yeah.
Just with the equipment I use, and I want to just set like healthy parameters around like, okay, how much should I
Yeah.
use AI realistically?
Yeah.
'Cause,
I think,
and with the idea thing, I don't want to make my mind lazy. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like you don't want to, because it's like working out. It's like a steroid kind of
Right.
enhancer, but for your brain. It's
Yeah.
like, well, I don't know.
and the thing is too, is that like everyone's gonna have different takes on this. Like there are people that
sure.
are wholeheartedly 100% anti-AI. A good example of this
Respect
would be a Twitter mutual of mine.
Oh.
His name is Danny Donahue. He's a concept artist and a filmmaker.
Oh, much respect.
He worked on that Adam Driver dinosaur movie 65.
Oh, 65. I watched
He
that
did
on
the
a plane.
he did the concept art for that
fun.
every now and then.
Cool.
So
he kicked butt. Nice.
he's extremely anti-AI, completely understandable too,
Good.
because that is his job.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like it is like
that is
at
thing.
risk.
Like these guys are
And I respect
front
him
lines
wholeheartedly for that, because it's like, trust me, I get it. Like I said, I've said this in videos before, the main appeal of AI is ease of use. Like the fact that anyone can do it. And I think to sort of like throw that away, I think shows a lot of willpower. Like you said, it's like working out, like having the willpower to work out,
like
and
the
to
discipline.
stick to yourself and your work. Like there are so
Right.
many concept artists now out there that are using AI. Like there was Sonic 3, there was an AI concept artist that was used for that, and he was like so adamant, like, no, I swear. Meanwhile, Shadow had like 7 fingers, and it's like, dude, like this is not.
that's like,
yeah.
That's this is interesting. That's really cool.
But
about your
then
friend.
there's
That's-
people that like fully embrace it entirely, where I've seen like it's more tech bros than anything. And I think it just stems from, and I hate these 2 words with a burning passion, but media literacy. That is like the big thing that everyone's been kind of talking about. I might even make a video on it. But I just think that, I think if like, for example, I know that you have found a very kind of like solid middle ground in between embracing AI and doing your own thing.
Yeah, that's
right?
appropriate. Yeah.
I think at least, like I think that, for example, someone like Danny Donahue would completely disagree and find that what you're doing is completely blasphemous.
I respect that.
Well, tech bros would be like, he's not using it enough. You know what I mean? I think that it's an ongoing debate. I think it's very important to listen to everyone's opinions and to have normal conversations like this. Some of the dumbest things I've heard are from people like, well, I had a bad experience with an artist, so I think there shouldn't be any artists, and we should embrace AI. And it's
Get
like,
out of here.
like,
Fiverr is so beautiful as a
Oh, I love
website.
Fiverr. I love
I
Fiverr.
commissioned so
I
many
love Fiverr
people.
so much.
Like,
yes.
that's how I get
Yeah.
most of my work. That it's like, okay, well, I can't do this. I'm gonna go hire someone on Fiverr to
They
do
kick
it.
butt.
Yeah.
They've gotten better too.
And I've heard people say, like, you know, Fiverr takes advantage of artists from third world countries who can't afford to, like, and then my response to that is, well, do what I do and tip them more. Like, I'm not gonna say how much I tip them, but it's like, it's a lot. Like, if it's really good, like, I'm gonna tip them.
Heck yeah.
So
I
that
love
they work
that
with me
when-
again. Like,
that's awesome.
that's how
yeah,
this
and
should
then
work.
you can
know
like
what I
build
mean?
that
Like,
relationship with,
exactly.
where it's like, you know,
I'm Facebook friends with so many of the artists I hire on
That's
Fiverr.
awesome.
And it's like, I've had like my grandma be like, so who's this person from like this country that like I can't even point to on a map? Like, why are you friends
we
with
work
them?
together.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Literally, that's
It's-
the beauty of today's day
yeah.
and age, man. And I want to talk. This is where I want to kind of
Absolutely.
transition into talking about large IP. You talk about media, and a lot of this buzz with AI is stemming from kind of a thirst for more content, you know. And I talked about the Invincible fake trailer,
Yeah.
that being there because there isn't an Invincible live action movie yet. There will be.
I'm sure.
But
Yeah.
but what I'm trying to get to is there's been a lot of just controversy, you know, with Hollywood and film, and a lot. We're not going to go down the rabbit holes, but we will go. We're going to talk. I want to, like I was just saying, talk about how AI, how like fan bases have been utilizing AI, and one in particular really that has stuck out to me is the Star Wars fan base. And
Star Wars theory, right? He's been using a lot of AI, or is that
been
okay? Because I'm
there.
not fully. I don't know. I don't want to start beef. I'm just like, I'm more curious.
Dude.
I'm just like, what's going on with that? Because I'm not part of the Star Wars fandom. I have no clue.
I've been keeping a close eye on him, and I love his saber company. I just got a Theory Sabers. I kind of want to show you because those things are cool. I love lightsabers, man. But so he's crushing it with that. But yeah, it's interesting because he is kind of leading a charge of like anti corporate, anti, you know, big company, Disney, Lucasfilm, whatever. Just with the controversy surrounding how the latest Star Wars trilogy was treated, and how to summarize, basically, for those who don't know, I guess, is and I feel like this kind of helps.
Even I'm kind of out of the loop
Yeah,
because I'm
and
like, I saw the movies and I'm like, I don't care anymore.
I
even told you that, and I'm like,
no, dude, and that's unfortunately something that I kind of have to bring about is I honestly don't either that much. I'll still watch it. But and I've seen like Skeleton Crew was like the newest show, and I watched it after it like all came out. I watched it once, it was good, but I mean, it's just kind of like essentially, I'll kind of break it down. So, and this is coming from a big Star Wars fan, just lifelong Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars, and we went to The Force Awakens, all of our family, and great time. You know, that movie was overall well received. It was a pretty promising start to a new trilogy, and then
I like
started to kind of like get a little shaky because and I mean, everybody's has their opinions about the story, whatever, but ultimately I really kind of come to the conclusion that they should have had a plan beforehand.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's kind of I don't want to say it's like a fact of the matter, but you can't, like, one thing I think everybody can kind of agree on is that they kind of rushed it, you know, after George Lucas had sold to Disney in 2013, 14, I believe it was. I mean, they got to work on pumping out those movies, and you can kind of see now with the trajectory after those movies that it wasn't a lot of the TLC that, you know, that the original creator George had put into it. And the reason I feel like this is so cool to parallel with AI, because we're talking about like kind of soulless art versus something that's like created and original, and like there's so much nuance there. Like you said, like you can't plug these prompts in like you wouldn't be able to plug in Flash Gordon and 2001: A Space Odyssey and whatever else, like all the old, and like, because man, George, he took, just to use that as an example, I mean, he took so much and condensed it into Star Wars. I mean, I shouldn't say condensed. I mean, he, you know, made it into Star Wars, which blew up into its own, like, you know, its own universe. And for some people, it's practically a religion, you know. And that's why, you know, I say that because I'm not coming from a place of hate. I'm not coming from a place of like, oh, these movies have ruined my life as a Star Wars fan. How will we recover? But I just think that like there's a conversation to be had with, there's a lot of fan films like Star Wars Theory. There's making some AI ones, and then there's other ones where fans will be taking like they're like deep fakes basically, but they're brought to life with AI of like Hayden Christensen and Mark Hamill and these characters having conversations that we never got to saw as fans in those movies, and so people are actually like really enjoying those. And of course, you know, you still there's kind of like there's still a lot of errors. I mean, you could watch and you're like, this is AI, but like the dialogue and the kind of the writing, like some of these fans are like, it's crazy. They'll write the dialogue is what gets me. That's what I listen to the dialogue and I'll be like, wow, I wish we would have heard that in like episode 7, other than Luke taking his father, like the legacy lightsaber, and just throwing it over his shoulder for laughs in the theater, and then only to retcon all that in the 9th movie to try and, I don't know. We could talk about this till the cows come home. I mean, and it has been, but I think that it's evident that this has been sparked through a lack of kind of care by a big company that, you know, perhaps, and we don't know all the details, like perhaps like they, you know, I don't know, I think it's just safe to say that it just was it was rushed, and now you see fans utilizing this technology to kind of create their own stuff and in their own, and a lot of people are like, this is like what's canon to me. Like there's one video where it's Luke talking to Obi-Wan and Anakin, his dad, on Octu or whatever, the planet he was on in the sequels, and it's like it feels like so real. I'll send it to you after this, and I'll put a link in the description. I'm sorry if that offends people who don't like AI. I mean, this is happening whether you like it or not. I'm sorry. I don't.
It's also relevant, so you're not just showing the whole thing.
Yes,
too.
It's relevant. Yeah. And you know, again, my favorite part is just, I think the dialogue is just what it brings it to life, because it shows the soul and the substance of it. It's not about it, and to me, I'm not attracted to like, you know, what the AI can do. I'm just like intrigued because like, oh wow, it's bringing this scene to life in this way that we would have never seen. Because it's like, how is a fan gonna get Hayden Christensen to get in the same room as Mark Hamill and have this conversation, you know? But that's, I don't know, that's really interesting to me, and I guess I just wanted to kind of talk about how that, I feel like, is kind of there's a lot going on with media in Hollywood, and this is gonna kind of correlate. We're gonna kind of like circle back now with, you know, talking about how, you know, your media company, Firewood Media, I'm building the Road Between Realities right now with friends and family, and it's like it's an independent, like actual for the love of the game type of thing, you know, and it's not driven by money or a paycheck. And I think like with things like Star Wars, which was once literally a guy, I like, dude, I'm not trying to glaze each other here, but what I'm trying to say is that we are in a similar position as far as trying to create independent media and like sci-fi, especially. We're both really big sci-fi nerds in our own respective genres and whatnot. But it's just interesting, and I think that, you know, I believe this technology, like with these conversations we're having right now, it's really productive, because I feel like I believe we are kind of the future when it comes to filmmaking, and you literally have films in your discography of media. You have like, you know, and music too on top of that. I mean, you've worked on soundtracks too, which is something I kind of want to talk about. We'll talk about music briefly at the end here. We'll just talk about our interests and stuff, but that's another thing, man. You've actually composed music for your own tracks, which I've worked out to some of the stuff in what was it? Oh, it's the
Pesticide?
One. It might have been Pesticide. It might have been. It was a short film with the End of the World.
Oh, Foxhole.
The Foxhole. Yep. It was the Foxhole. Yep.
Really, you work out to one of those? That's like
one
ambient.
of them, dude. One of them was like, it's like this vibe. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. No, I'm more shocked by that.
I wanted to tell you that in person. I don't know. This is funny. This is cool, but
because that is not at all what I imagine people do. I don't even imagine people listening to that.
These ideas go far, man. Yeah. They go far, but overall, I just think that this is I'm just trying to make a rally call and a rally cry to people listening.
Well, it's interesting because with Star Wars, how you mentioned that with the Godzilla fandom, which I'm very
talk about the Godzilla fandom, because that's like I'm like, you know, people who see the channel and who know me personally know that I'm a big Star Wars nerd. Yeah, I love Superman too a lot, and that, but Star Wars is like, I love Star Wars, but
Godzilla's my bread and butter.
Mr.
And
Godzilla.
There was a person on Twitter. I was just on stream. I think it was couple days ago. I don't really know. I feel like the past couple days have just been a blur at this point.
Yeah, you've been busy.
But,
Yeah,
um,
concerts and
and so, long story short, he was a person that would do like toy photography, and
oh, that's the coolest.
yeah,
I
and
love
his
those
were
videos.
just kind of like he more like just would get a figure, kind of pose
Okay.
it interesting and like take a picture, which is still interesting. But recently he's gotten like over like AI like constantly to the point where like he's spammed it nonstop, and then he just like lash out at people who criticize him. He has like 2,000 followers, and his stuff would get like 1,000,000 views engagement, or like 1,000 even. But he'd have like 2 likes because it's like
Mm.
it's rage bait that no one's really falling for.
Mm.
And so with the Godzilla fandom, it's generally very anti-AI. Like it's as opposed to maybe Star Wars,
Well,
which I'm
man.
sure is, which granted that just comes from the fact that there's more people I'd say in the Star Wars fandom than the Godzilla fandom.
Yeah,
So you're gonna get
it is huge.
more of a
It's
sample
diverse.
size.
It's
But
very, very big.
yeah, but it's like the Godzilla fandom treats its artists very well, human artists. So like Matt Frank, for example, is like this comic artist whose work is incredible. I have a couple of his prints. But it's like they are treated so well that it's like I remember I don't know if you've seen the new one recently, the new Empire, Godzilla X Kong. The new Godzilla design is kind of controversial among fans. I'm not too big on it, but Godzilla's like kind of got these like or these like elbow spikes, and has like a pink kind of like spine now, and is like skinnier, and people were like ripping on it. But then like almost every time they'd be like, I love the concept artist though, he's great, like the guy that came up with it, like they'd always be like, no, he's awesome though, like even though I don't like this design, I love his work.
Respect.
And it's like for all the toxicity that's in that fandom, it's like that is like it's clear that they love their artists, and that's something I love about it.
Yeah, and I think that again, mirroring just the Star Wars fandom, like there's again a lot of toxicity with whatever, as you'll have with any fan base, with
at
any
this point.
Yes, I mean, yeah, but I think that's something that has been really cool to see is the fans like really dig deep and look into who worked on the projects that they grew up with, and like just the respect for the artists and the writers, the original writers. I mean, not just George, because everybody talks about George Lucas as if he's like, he himself is like, a godlike figure. He's just a guy. He's a smart dude, really smart dude.
You ever see that video of him where someone's like filming a documentary? And
yeah,
he just like walks in the background.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Oh, I love that. He's just a chill dude, man. He's just a chill guy, man. Yeah. Sheesh, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry about that. I just completely derailed you.
You're good. No, that's I'm gonna have to put that up on here. But, no, but
it plays like the Metal Gear Solid music in the background as he's like walking by. It's great.
Epic. Yeah, icon, man. But no, there's so many other people who have worked behind the scenes in those movies that just, I mean, and just the way that those movies were made, it really it really, and Godzilla too, with the practical effects and how that really just like, I feel like I love seeing the new Star Wars stuff with utilize the scale.
Didn't Skeleton Crew use like stop motion on that like crab monster thing?
They might.
I saw that on Twitter. I didn't know what that was for,
because some like old or original trilogy.
I still have to watch Andor. I know season 2's coming out, so I'm like, I'll just probably binge it all in one go. But
yeah, it's long, but it's good. It's good. I'm not gonna get too much into all the individual shows. I mean, to kind of gloss over my excitement as a Star Wars fan, I'm just kind of like more, I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of, I feel like the next really big exciting thing will probably come, I feel like maybe from the fans. I feel like what I want to see is like a fan film, and Star Wars Theory is doing this because he has the money and he has like a big company, but there's other people kind of following in step who have money too to make projects that are they have a budget, but then there's also like a lot of like fan driven for the love of the story and for the love of the original characters. And
the problem with Godzilla with fan content is it's very difficult to produce a Godzilla fan film. So there's almost none.
That's
like,
tough.
They're hard to find.
You need like
there's
extras,
really good ones that are like done with Blender.
Kaiju.
So there's a ongoing like cinematic universe that Lost Utopia Films has been doing where it's all through Blender, and he's been posting like there's like Mechanai Kong, which is like a robot version of King Kong from like a 60s movie called King Kong Escapes. He's like teasing that as like the next thing. He's like taking all like the more goofier aspects and like putting them in this like whole universe.
Cool.
It's so fascinating. Like those are really good, but that's because that dude is like crazy good at like Blender, like puts everyone else to shame in the fandom. But like the ones that have been made, where they're using like suits. It's like I want to be nice, but it's like they seem like nostalgia critic videos sometimes because it's like I get it,
It's like I
you're
appreciate
so
the thought.
limited,
I
but
appreciate the thought. Yeah.
and then you watch some Star Wars stuff and it's like this looks borderline official, but it's just because of it's not easy to do a Godzilla fan film. It really isn't.
No, dude. Definitely
And that's
not.
something I
It's a
talked about in mine.
different beast.
Plus, Toho is crazy. The company that owns Godzilla, like they will sue people over any like that. Like there was one that came out called Godzilla Heritage, and they crowdfunded for it, and Toho like just got them immediately.
Dang.
Like it was it leaked online though, so they did technically finish it, but it's ridiculous though with the fan film stuff at times because it's like like someone will do like a drawing and then that's what everyone talks about for like a week. Like that's how starved we all are as Godzilla fans.
Yeah, I don't even know what the Star Wars hype is centered around these days. I mean, I don't know, like Andor's coming out soon. That's a really cool show. It's like I think about like my younger self, you know, and like other younger kids and like the generations coming up. It's like they just they didn't really have it like we did. I feel like they didn't have like the hype of like all the toys being so intricately like packaged and made, and like there's so much thought into everything, like, just everything. And now it's just kind of like, let's pump out, you know, we need to make sure we get these 4 Marvel movies in this quarter sector, and then make sure we, you know, do these 10 Star Wars shows.
Marvel is its own thing. You want to talk a little bit about that? Because
I don't know if we should. My fiance is a big Marvel fan.
Well, here's the thing though. I'm doing a video right now called "The Rise, Fall, and Decay of the MCU."
I want to hear because that's something we've been talking about. Is like she's noticed. I haven't been. I don't try to like dog Marvel because I actually, being a DC fan, I used to like really hate on. I was just a Marvel hater.
I was open to everything. I loved comics at the time. Like when I was a kid, I got into comics because of like but like I got into the MCU like right when they were coming out because I was like 6 when Iron Man came out, so it was like the perfect time. So like I read all the comics. I got so into it. Civil War was like my favorite comic for so long, and now that I revisited, it's like it's not that good. But I've been rewatching all the movies in order to kind of like, and even the shows to kind of like, you know, do this whole video because I'm doing a proper retrospective. I'm stuck on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now because it's just such a slog because it's borderline like CW tier stuff, and it's like I want to watch the movies. But one thing I can't get over though is like how like the first phase feels like real movies, like because it was shot on film. Like Iron Man is so good, even the Incredible Hulk, which has a negative reputation I think, but I love that movie.
I love
the
that.
score is so good. We actually when we were doing Pesticide, there's this song, I think it's called The Hanging, and we have like bongos that we're doing, and we did that because of the Incredible Hulk score, because that had like bongos in it during like the chase scene, and I'm like, I want that
I might
feel.
rewatch that and go home and
it's so good. The only problem that I have with it is Liv Tyler. I can't stand her in that movie because she's so whiny all the time, and she has like no character, and it's like just it would have been great if she wasn't in it. Like any other actress I'd take, but that's my only gripe.
That was like back in the day when they
2008.
Had like, I don't want to get like, we're not going to get into
no, obviously,
identity
but I'm just saying
thing,
it's just interesting where we are now and how you mentioned like the relationship between indie stuff and Hollywood stuff. How like they're trying to market Thunderbolts as being like an indie movie.
I know with the
like,
A24 trailer aesthetic. I'm like, it kind of made me cringe seeing it a little bit. I was like, I don't know. It's like I feel like we're entering a stage where a lot of these movies are just going to come off as tone deaf, and like it's just like they're, I don't know, money talks. And it has, and there's
always like an aesthetic every like decade that like defines everything. And like the 2010s, it was like cinematic universes, like that was huge. The 2000s, it was like orange and teal, and like it's like everyone has to wear like trench coats, and like it's like the Matrix kind of, you know what I mean? Like, and like I think that with the 2020s, I really hope it isn't like we're just gonna steal indie aesthetics, you know, and like do that, because that feels like what it's gonna slowly kind of, you don't really know until you're a couple years into the decade, and COVID kind of threw stuff off. But
you know, I just watched a movie on Disney Plus yesterday. We just had it on while we were just doing stuff. But it was on in the background, and there was a scene that came up, and it was like a family movie. I don't know what it's called. But, it was like it was just like it felt like it was trying to be something it wasn't. Like, and I thought of like indie films. For some reason, I was like, this is like feels like it's trying to be like I don't know. It's just
I started noticing that even with like Captain Marvel, there's a scene that stuck out to me in the theater. You know, the whole movie shot extremely like professional, like it's very, you know, like it's AAA, you know, like it is like the you know, Marvel standard. Then there's a scene where it's Carol and I believe now she's like Photon, you know, but it's like one of the characters. I don't know, they're like arguing in like a field, and all of a sudden it just goes like handheld, and it's trying to be really dramatic. And even in the theater, I'm like, they're trying to like kind of dog on like a different style because
Yeah.
it came out of nowhere and it like threw me for a loop for a second.
Mm.
But that's the only scene from that movie I remember though, which kind of says a lot about
Yeah.
that style though, that indie style. I think Sean Baker winning best producer or best picture, so he won for producing, he won best director, best writer. I think he won for best casting. He won 4 or 5 Oscars that night. This is for the most recent one for Anora. And I don't know if you've seen that movie or not. I thought it was okay. It's decent. But the fact that he won, and he was pretty much like a one-man team for that whole movie, it was like an indie thing. The fact he won for that, I think, speaks a lot of volumes about where we're at right now, really.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I just like try to hype myself up and other people when it comes to just like pick up a camera and make something, like use your ideas and make it come to life. And that's I don't know.
Gonna suck.
Fun. Yeah,
it's gonna suck.
It is,
like that's the thing too that everyone says pick up a camera, but that's the one thing I always add is like a little like amendment, like it's gonna suck, but keep doing it and it won't suck. Like that's the one thing.
Like, I mean, I'm sure that I'm just speaking on behalf of myself and like other smaller creators, I guess. It's like even if you don't have the viewership, it's like that shouldn't be your kind of that shouldn't be your fuel. Like it's gotta be like if there's a story and there's an idea that's like, oh, this needs to just come out, like go and make that real.
I used to do like modeling streams with Blender, where I'd like just work on something and like have chat, talking to me. People would always be like, every time I start, I suck, and I'd be like, dude, and I'd like pull up like my old models, and they look like garbage. It's like everyone starts somewhere.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, man. Yeah, check out I don't know. I probably privated some of those early uploads, but
I definitely did with mine. Like when I was first starting out with YouTube, because it was like, let me just blast 2 like LED colored lights in my face, and then not use it. Like I'll just use the camera mic because it's fine. Like no one's gonna notice, and it sounds like I'm in a tin can. Like it's just
I feel you.
Those videos were.
I'm
terrible.
gonna be probably watching these videos in a couple of years with like the mics I got now and be like, oh, but I don't know. I don't know. I try to be kind of indifferent because for me, I'm more of like a writer. I usually outsource like if I recently, the last short film that was uploaded to the channel as of the time recording this was like a Ben Solo one.
Yes, I watched it. That was very good. I think I saw that on stream.
Thank you. That was
I try to watch
fun.
Stuff on stream with people I know whenever.
That's awesome.
It's on
Appreciate
one of them,
that, man.
Yeah,
dude, that's awesome. That we actually filmed out. So that was the first project I ever took seriously, like filming. And it was shelved. Like the clips were all shelved for years. I just never got around to like editing it. But I had my really good friend Mitch. He's like, I think he works with some big outdoors company, and he's like the cinematographer for them and has his own setup. But I that was like the one thing that I outsourced the filming to, because like at the time I really wanted it to look like as cinematic as professional. I just got done seeing The Rise of Skywalker, and I was like really ticked off that Ben Solo died, and I was like, let me just take matters into my own hands, and I just want to see this man live and breathe again. I don't know, but and that was fun, and that was just kind of a blessing of like networking and knowing people, and me being kind of like, that's just like kind of a fruit of like kind of taking just a chance on myself creatively, and then just starting to film stuff, and then he took notice, and he was like, hey, like, and I was like, hey, let's work on stuff, and and we made it, and I'm glad that finally, I don't know, I don't know why that was just sitting in just like my one of my Google Drives, like a ton of footage. Shout out to Nate, go Steelers, recorded that at his backyard. That was like the forest planet. But okay, I wanted to touch base. We're gonna wrap things up here. This has been a great conversation, man. This has been awesome. I can't wait to like go back and look over this, and this has been cool. We're gonna talk about, I want to transition. We're gonna take a hard transition into faith, just because you've been somebody who has been outspoken about your Catholic faith with videos you've made, and just as a person. I mean, like, just right off the bat when we first met, I mean, I as just somebody to work with, you've been just super easy to work with, and super communicative and considerate, and it's funny. It's like I think when we met, I thought you were older than me, or
I think so.
I don't know, but I'm like 2 years old. Just to preface, I mean, dude's like 6.
Well, granted, I'm 6'8", but also I had long hair and like a beard at that time too.
You definitely got taller since I last saw you. I thought that. Yeah, I'm like, dude.
But so I had long hair and a beard, and so I looked like way older, I'm sure, than I really was, because I was probably like 19 at the time. But
No, I mean, I just say that. I mean, I've just gotten really good advice from you and really sound advice about building my channel and like really taking it
Yeah.
seriously and taking ideas seriously and having faith in it too,
Mhm.
and faith in God that this is like what that He sees for me in my future,
Right.
and just seeing you talk about or bring up topics in it's really interesting. So I guess I'm just trying to kind of get into your headspace as
Yeah.
far as like um talk about that like some of your Catholic
Yeah.
videos, I
Well,
guess.
I'll first kind of talk about this. So growing up, I'm
Yeah,
Catholic and
yeah, for
everything,
sure.
and I was an altar boy for a long time, and then I moved on to being a reader, and that was really nice. Or I guess they're called like lecterns, but we just called them readers, and so you'd go up
Yeah,
there and you'd
read.
read from the Bible during mass and stuff. But as I've gotten older, I've kind of shifted more towards having like what I call so my grandpa Larry, who's really my only grandpa, so I would kind of talk with him about stuff. And he was someone who his favorite priest, he called him Speedy Gonzalez because he would speed through church as quick as possible. So he'd get through mass in like 30 minutes and
Oh,
then we'd
wow.
be out.
Nice.
That was his favorite, which you might think that sounds like a bad Christian, because they don't want to be in church for too long. But that man was so holy outside of that. You know what I mean? Like that was the one thing where he was just like, he never spoke ill towards God. He always instilled religious beliefs in all of his children, had them all baptized, had them all, first communion, which I don't think a lot of other, like we do like, confirmation and everything,
Yeah, we
which
won't
is
get into
different.
like the
But what I'm getting at is
the
he still like,
nitty-gritty of
he raised his
denominations,
children
but
with, with faith and everything,
yeah.
despite kind of being like, okay, like I'm someone who's kind of like closed off about faith in that way, because that's more just the Catholic kind of like raising side of it. Like I'm not someone who's very preachy, about my
I
stuff,
feel
and
you.
I'm very kind of like inwards towards that. But every now and then I'll watch a movie and I'll be like, hey, you know what? That's a really cool kind of like theme that I picked up on, where it's like that's kind of like a faith thing. So I've done now I think 3 videos that are Catholic analysis videos. The first one I ever did was Nacho Libre because I saw that and I'm like, dude, this is just a Catholic movie. Like this is literally a Catholic movie.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and so I did that. I talked about the real story that inspired it, and then I kind of go into like more of the themes and everything.
That was awesome.
And then that blew up, but then like it's kind of funny because I didn't really like follow it up because I'm like I don't really feel comfortable being like a Christian influencer because that was like it's like not really. I mean, I am Christian, but it's like I don't.
Well,
I like
you had built your
that
platform with Godzilla and film and so much with that in that world.
Yeah.
And so I feel like you don't want to just pander just for the sake of it.
Yeah, and my thing too is it felt like it would be pandering because it's like that's obviously I'm Christian, but it's like I'm not someone who all of a sudden now I'm gonna just post religious stuff because that one video blew up. Like I'd rather just do it when I feel like it.
Well, and I feel like what you did too is like you probably put some people on in your space that maybe just don't know the gospel or aren't familiar with like the Catholic Church and with just how it really goes and your insights are very, very like very real, very like I mean I highly recommend. I'm gonna put all these videos in the
I have a playlist called Catholic Analysis. You can just plug that one.
I sent one to my mom, dude. I sent her the Exorcist one, and my parents are not big on horror films, but like she watched the whole thing and she thought it was great. And it's like it's very true because with a lot of these movies and horror movies, there's like obviously it's the overt tone of like, oh, Satan. Woo!
Right. And that was a big one where when I watched that, I'm like, man, like that's a movie that gets written off because what happened was I was talking to my girlfriend's grandma and she's very, very religious, very, very religious. And so I can't remember if I brought it up somehow or something, and she was like, "Oh, I don't like that movie. It's demonic. It's satanic." And I said to her, "I'm like, well, the good guys in that are the priests, right?"
Yeah, like that's.
And then after we kind of, and she was like, and it's kind of like it was more in jest, than it wasn't like an argument or anything.
No, right.
But and it was after I was kind of driving home from hanging out there, I was like, this could be a video, and then I just started writing, and then it was. Because it's like that's a movie that got a really bad rap that deserves more of a reanalysis from a Catholic lens, especially Catholic, because it's about literally the main character's arc. I could go on about this forever, but Father Karras literally is his mom dies. He's like, how could a God ever allow a person close to me like that to suffer,
like
to
it's
perish?
Actually like a Christian kind of like,
and he redeems himself like Christ because he finds his faith again in the end of the movie, and he essentially sacrifices himself much like Christ did on the cross so that Reagan can live sin-free just like us, or like, like she doesn't have to suffer for her sins. And it's just like, it's like, I remember when I watched it, I'm like,
people gloss over that.
Yeah.
Like,
they just see the, the vulgarity, the lines that the demon Pazuzu says. And it's like,
which, by the way, not even a real demon. Like it's a fictional, you know what I mean?
Hollywood.
Which
Yeah.
I think personally, I'm not someone who's really crazy into like the demonology stuff. I know that a lot of Christians are. I want to like research it more because that's fascinating to
King
me.
James demonology.
Yeah, which,
but
like,
I haven't read it.
you know, there's a lot of Christians that think if you bring up a specific demon's name, that's like the same thing as like kind of praying to it. So the fact they didn't even use like a real demon, which I didn't even bring up in the book, you know, or in the, you know,
that
in the
is
book,
like
I think they kind of
redeeming quality towards the story.
Yeah,
because
but the one thing though, because I got really into like looking into Catholicism, you know, that with Catholicism there's actually an expert on exorcisms who, if they believe that someone's possessed, the church will literally send them out to go and like check it out to see if it's actually an exorcism. And there's someone who's like a licensed psychologist as well, so they know if it's a mental problem or not too.
And I grew up in a world, from the time where I am right now, I'm not Catholic. I'm Christian. I'm
we don't need to get into the denomination.
No, we're not. But from my worldview, this is super interesting. This is my view on Catholicism was formed a lot by Hollywood because of movies like this and with like Exorcist. I was like growing up, I didn't even know if that was real. I thought that was like a Hollywood kind of like,
no, there's literally someone that they do send out. Like,
I was like, is this just like a
weird
thing? I know, which like people will probably be like really, you didn't know that? Like, come on. But no, and when you talk about the testimony, when you look into the character analysis of the protagonist and like what does he do to overcome this like seemingly this just terrible scenario, like, and it really does present spiritual warfare in a kind of an earnest sense of being like, just, it can seem just because it truly, these are demons messing with your life, and you know, it's good, you know, go to Ephesians chapter 6 for more on the spiritual warfare stuff if you're looking towards guidance on that, you know.
The third one that I did, by the way, was Neon Genesis Evangelion, which
I want to watch that show.
I would recommend watching it because there's a lot of people who are like, they saw my video, and the thing is I break it up into different chapters. So like there's like the intro where I talk about my personal relationship with the show, and then I go into like a plot summary and I go very in depth, but that's so that then when we analyze it, it's not like you're confused. But then I had comments where people were like, great, now I don't have to watch the show. And it's like, no, please watch it.
No. I keep
I thought about taking it down and cutting that stuff down just because people were saying that. I'm like, I really hope I didn't like.
That's respect.
But it's still up. It's still up as is. But I'd recommend watching it first. It's only like 22 episodes.
Yeah, that stuff usually, like videos like that, usually make me want to go and like watch it for myself.
Yeah.
I don't know, like.
But there's a huge, because like, I don't know how much you know about the show, but like in the movie, but there's a lot of like Christian symbolism in that. Like, for example, Lilith, who's one of the angels, who's they use angel in a different terminology. It's basically like a kaiju, but like Lilith is literally like on the cross, like Christ-like at times. And like same with Unit 1. And like when one of the angels explodes, it turns into kind of like a cross-like symbol in the sky. So it's just, there's tons of, and like some of the angels look like biblical ones too. Like they literally found like old like Renaissance era paintings and like, you know, adapted that. And that's more, I take more of a historical angle with that Catholicism for sure.
Interesting.
Because I think that the history of the church is equally as fascinating as the actual like the religious side of things as well. That's more because I love history.
And it's cool because it's like there's a lot of gray area from where we're at in this time in history right now, and from like, you know, if you're a Christian who reads the Bible, it's like, obviously there's a lot of time that's gone on since then and since the beginning of the church. And for me, I am like really new into the world of like the early church fathers and church history. You know, and
all the lost books. All the lost books are so fascinating.
Oh my gosh, it's cool, and I love, you know, just talking to you know, people who are a bit more engaged into those worlds and the sphere of.
I'm thinking about doing more of those just because like it interests me, not because like which the Exorcist one bombed anyways, which I was so mad about. I'm like, dude, that was such a good video.
Couple years down the line, but
have you ever seen the ones I want to do? I want to cover the 10 Commandments, like the movie.
Love that movie.
It's so good.
I love that movie. What's his face? Charleston
Heston.
Yeah, Charles Heston.
Yep.
Right, yeah.
Charles Heston.
Charles Heston, yep. And then
Hacksaw Ridge is one I want to talk about, and then I also want to talk about Silence, the Martin Scorsese movie. Have you ever checked that one out?
No.
It's with Andrew Garfield, Adam Driver, and Liam Neeson. And so it's basically it's Andrew Garfield and Adam Driver are looking for Liam Neeson, who went to go be a missionary in Japan. It's set in like I think the 1600s. And Japan at the time, you couldn't practice Christianity at all. Like they'd kill you. And so they're looking for Liam Neeson, who the Japanese say, oh no, he left the faith. And they're like, no, like these are all tests to like try to get us to not follow God. And it's one of like the most it shakes you to your core. It's one where like you almost have to like set the day aside. Like it's a rainy day movie. If it rains and you're like, I don't want to do anything, watch that movie. Your life will be changed. It's one of the greatest movies ever made by a Catholic, because Martin Scorsese is Catholic, and I think I think he said like if you watch all my movies, like there's elements of Catholicism. Even like Mean Streets, as like brutal as that is, like there's a scene where he's like in a church and he's like, you know, it's just so fascinating. Even Wolf of Wall Street, which he said is his most spiritual film, which is hard to believe, but you see it. You know,
you do though, you do, and it's funny because so many people watch that and completely goes over their heads, and it's like, but I feel like over time, you know, people come back to that movie and be like, oh, this was all this was all vanity and
idolatry.
And I just want to go back to the Exorcist thing because I just to make sure I hit that point about spiritual warfare. And I feel like this is a great spot to end, kind of. Before we'll just kind of do a sign off thing.
Well, I also got to talk about Godzilla too, because
I know, I
talked about that yet.
I know, dude. I know.
Which is literally why I'm sure I'm going to post this as a community post on my channel. So I'm sure there's going to be comments like, "How come he's not talking about Godzilla yet?"
It's terrible. I'm just like, man, I kind of gotta pee, but we're good. I can hold it.
I can make it quick too.
Yeah, no. This is great. Okay, for us. Spiritual warfare. The Exorcist, that movie, as vulgar as you said it is and depicts, it does kind of brings about the idea of, again, spiritual warfare, demonic attacks, and the reality of demonic attacks, and the fact that, you know, I think that I can attest for this. I feel like, because growing up, not understanding Catholicism and early church history as much, and not realizing the reality of spiritual warfare and how it's going on right now, it's cool because videos like that, it's like a call to action. Like after I watched that video, it was like encouraging, because it's like it's just like, you know, albeit this film has kind of been overlaid as like demonic and kind of like that sort of stuff. I love how you're reclaiming that in the name of Jesus, because that's what he does. He defeated death on the cross and saved us all. But,
well, even, you know, like the thing too with like Catholicism is it kind of has like a bad rap culturally, especially right now. I mean, I think I don't even need to say why. I think everyone kind of knows it. Yeah. And that's sort of like the reputation that it unfortunately carries right now. And my thing, as someone who is Catholic and as someone who has the power to reach an audience, I first off try not to push anything on my audience. I'd never say like, you know, because I know that there are Jewish people, there are Muslims that follow me, like, and they've even left comments on that, like, hey, I'm not even Catholic, you know, I'm Muslim or I'm Jewish, and I still found this to be very fascinating, and that's kind of the angle that I try to tackle. It's just like, look, we're not Bible thumpers like the 90s, like that at all. At least with where the church is heading now, like especially with some of the comments that Pope Francis makes over the years, like he's arguably one of the most progressive popes that we've ever had. Yeah, and so it's one of those where it's like I try to embody that love that Christ taught, and that's something where it's like we're not the same denomination, doesn't matter, we still worship the same God, same Christ. You know, same with, you know, even like Muslims and Jews, you know, we may not have all the same beliefs, I still love them regardless. I don't have any hate in my body towards anyone that has different beliefs than me. Even if you're an atheist, I don't really have any issue with you whatsoever. You know, there's still that love there, you know, it doesn't matter, we're all people, you know. So
I just love that too, just overall, just like the kind of inclusivity of like how you see that, because that is how Jesus calls us to see the world. And and for me in this channel, if you're watching, you're probably more than likely already a Christian, because this channel is more centered around that. But if you're new and if you're from Firewood Media, or you're kind of more into the film stuff, I mean, feel free to, you know, crack open a Bible and check out a local church. I mean, I'm not gonna, that's something too with me, and a reason that I'm starting this podcast is I want to, you know, talk more openly on my faith, of course, and to find my voice, I suppose, as I see that you found yours.
Everyone does it differently. You know, like you're more outward than I am, you know, and but that doesn't mean that I'm any less of a Christian or the other way. No. You know, like I'm someone that's very inward towards my faith, but I'm someone who likes to do the research, and I like to do, you know, like I argue that I would say that you and I, even though like I'd say that you're well more versed in the Bible than I am, I love the history, and I consider that to be just as much as valuable, because it's still devoting time to God. You know, like you're still learning the history. So
it's only God, like, and truly at the end of the day, only God knows. It's like so it's like, in all the finger pointing of like, oh, you're not doing communion, or this isn't happening right. It's like, you know what, like, have you accepted Jesus into your heart yet or not? But man, it's awesome. It's awesome to just touch base on that too, and it's cool. It's really cool. And for me, I feel like Yeah, I feel like I've been definitely people who know me are
Mhm.
and know my family. My family's very outspoken about their faith, and
Mhm.
so they've just like my mom has done a phenomenal job of instilling that kind of in a way of like being able to exude my faith in a creative way because
Right.
that's how she's done it, and kind of combining with like my dad who's like he's really good with like designing stuff and creating. He really knows what people like he knows how to get people kind of hyped.
Yeah.
He knows how to
Yeah.
get people centered around something, and not that my mom doesn't. She does a great job too as a leader, but I guess that's sort of kind of a that's just this is me sort of explaining, I guess, again on testifying for the scripture man
Yeah.
archetype character, because it is, again, it's like a character on the channel, but it's also like actually kind of
Right.
that's yeah, that is how I've always kind of carried myself. um but like you said, it does not by no means. I mean, I feel like that's what the world needs more of is Christians like
Yeah.
you who think more in depth, who are more just they really think inwardly about it
Yeah.
in that way, and are able to like to see those things that maybe other people don't. Like with The Exorcist, it's like here's how this actually is like telling the truth of the
Yeah.
gospel versus like, oh, be like, oh, Ouija boards and demon stuff, oh, be
Yeah.
afraid of that. It's like, dude, like
Yeah.
Jesus defeated death on the cross. Satan's a goofy, and
Yeah.
yeah, read the book. I don't know. That's all I gotta say. I know I
Right.
sounded very very pompous on that, but that's just where I'm just doing the mic drop for the
Trust me though,
for
I
that.
think a lot of Christians who are very normal, like you and me, don't like the Bible thumpers as much as people who aren't Christian and don't like the Bible thumpers. You know, I think that it's
I hear you there
because it
it's
makes
tough.
us look bad. You know,
I
it's like,
know, and it's tough because it's like, well, I don't want to go out and it's the finger pointing thing is not my
yeah.
thing. You'll never. I don't know. I'm not gonna. I don't know. We're not gonna.
No, we're not finger pointing
no.
either, but it's more just like it's just
It is
because
something that's relevant.
I've
And
had
it's
people come after
even,
me saying I've made satanic movies in the past, and it's like I don't understand
like,
at
what?
all where
I
that
mean,
came from.
I
but
know. Yeah. It's
it,
like,
it
well,
it is what it is. And
yeah.
it's just
Well, and I have some videos that kind of that utilize like upside down crosses and stuff,
Yeah.
and I could see how people look at that and are like, wait, why are you peddling
yeah.
idolatry and this and that? It's like, no, it's in efforts to
Yeah.
highlight this thing that's very real, so that you can be put on to the reality that everybody needs a
Well,
savior. Being
one of my
Jesus Christ.
favorite bands of all time is Ghost. And
Mm.
you know, their logo, literally the T is an upside down cross. Their whole thing
St.
is
Peter's cross.
yeah,
but,
but their whole thing
but
is it's tongue in cheek. It's making
Mm.
fun of like it very much is a parody of the Catholic Church.
Mm.
And so then why would someone like I love
Mm.
this band so much beyond the music being phenomenal? But it's also like it's because it is so tongue in cheek. And to me, the way that I've always viewed it is it's a satire of what Bible thumpers view, you know, metal
Yeah.
bands as. Like that's
Yeah.
really what it is. Because you look up the guy that
Yeah.
does it, Tobias Forge, and like he doesn't hate Christians, I don't think, in any way. You know what I mean?
It's
Like
just kind of an
it's
act,
very
sorta
tongue in cheek.
shtick
It's the
thing.
same as
Yeah.
like Kiss. Like
Mm.
I want to make a video about that for sure, but it's going to be one where it's going to be very kind of like you have to word it a very specific way, I'm sure, for a lot of Christians, because when their song "Mary on a Cross" got like viral on TikTok, like there were so many Christian people that were like going after them, and it's like you're missing the whole.
That's the whole point.
The song is a pun. Like it's
Yeah,
literally,
it's
it's not even like a sacrilegious thing. Like it's literally he's saying marijuana, like in the song, like instead of saying Mariana. That's it's a pun, and everyone was like getting offended by it. It's like he's making a joke. Like,
yeah.
but I love that band though, for sure.
Dude, you should check out Hell's Enemy. I was just
Hell's
listening to them
Enemy,
before
okay.
I came here.
Yeah.
They're like a heavy metal Christian band.
Okay.
Their logo is the 7-horned lamb of the Book of Revelation. So it
Okay.
looks kind of
Yeah.
like people look at it and are like, wait, is that satanic? But it's
Yeah.
actually not. It's literally taken out of
Yeah.
the Book of Revelation. It's in, I don't know, something interesting. I was like, thought I would just name drop that. But,
Yeah.
Movies. Shoosh. Favorite movies.
Let's see. Well,
What are our favorite?
favorite for me?
Star Wars.
I'll give my
so-
top four. My letterbox top four.
Let's hear
King
it.
Kong 33. That's what made me want to be a filmmaker. I'm gonna go Moneyball from 2011. I love baseball.
That's a classic.
One of my
That's a
favorites.
good one.
For number 3, I'm gonna go Little Big Man. It's a western starring Dustin Hoffman. It's basically Forrest Gump before Forrest Gump, and if he wasn't really Forrest Gump, like the story is like it's interesting how it goes from him being like a little boy to him where he's like at like Custer's last stand. Like it's just a really awesome western. It's funny, it's sad. Like it's a movie that'll make you laugh in one scene and then just break down crying in the other. It's so good.
Oh man.
It's so well done. And then The Void from 2017, 2016. It's a John Carpenter style H.P. Lovecraft horror movie.
Okay.
and practical effects are insane, better than The Thing. That is like, in terms of practical effects, like there are scenes in that where it's like, how did they accomplish this? Like, it is nuts. Highly recommend that
Movies
movie,
like that are like
especially.
must see. I love.
Yeah,
For
it's
me
hard
at
to
least, I
find.
gotta see like
It's
the special.
the
effects.
Blu-ray's like $50. Like, you have to almost like go to like illegal websites to find it at this point. Like, I have the file, I can get it to you, but it's like, it's almost impossible to get it on physical medium. Like, it's not on streaming. So, but
Interesting.
it's so good. It was
Nice.
independent too. I think it was made with like maybe $50,000, and some of they like crowdfunded. It's an incredible movie. What are you?
Man.
What are your top 4 right now,
Right now, oh man.
or all
Right
time?
now,
Up to you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, right now, number one. Well, number one is always flip flopped between like. I feel like Return of the Jedi. I just love.
I love that one.
It's.
That
I
was
think
my
I'm gonna
favorite
put
as a
that
kid.
one. Yeah.
Everyone kind of rips on that one as being the weakest.
Dude,
I love that
no,
one.
not at all. Like Vader comes full circle.
Yeah, it's great.
Luke and Vader, that dynamic, the father-son dynamic, and how he sees the good in Vader, and the redemption happens, and they defeat Palpatine. I don't know. It's just the tension, and I feel like every time I watch it, I remember how I felt when I first watched it, and like the emotional. Just my favorite scene in all of Star Wars is that throne room scene.
Yeah.
Vader versus Luke, and they're just Vader's like taunting him about Leia, and then he goes off and he's like never, and the score comes in. It's like, oh, that's number one for me. And I love Luke's lightsaber, his green lightsaber.
Yeah,
that thing is just oof. But number two, man, it's got to be Jurassic Park: The Lost World.
Really?
Yes, dude.
Okay.
I know.
I'm
That's
not a fan, so I'm not gonna judge.
It's
but...
super niche. It's super like it's kind of a guilty pleasure movie. I've come to learn, but I don't know. As a kid, I rewatched that one the most.
Yeah.
I will. Obviously, Jurassic Park, 1993 is timeless. They're never gonna be like, they'll never be able to capture lightning in a bottle like that again with like the technology. I mean, sheesh, talk about the technology and innovation of like.
I do love the scene in the second one where the Japanese guy runs in front and he goes, "I left Japan for this reason," or whatever he said. I love that line. That's like one of the that rampage scene is great though.
Yeah, at the end in San Diego. Yeah, they get really creative with kind of where the story goes, and it. Yeah, I don't know. I just like I like the kind of them in the jungle and the tension of like being followed, but I like how they have they're like all geared up and they're forced to work together, like Ian Malcolm and his crew that John Hammond had all kind of collected, and how he secretly kind of coheres the situation for them to kind of mess with the new InGen people, and it's really interesting. I think, I don't know, it's just there's some I mean, at the end of the day, it's the T-Rex scenes and the Velociraptor scenes. I love the don't go into the tall grass. I love that part. I don't know. It's just I felt like that one for me. It freaked me out more as a kid than the first one, I guess. And so that's probably why I like it more now. And I still I rewatched that. I had a trip with my fiance. We went down to Mexico and like super tropical kind of like vibe, and I watched that movie on the way back and the way there and back, and it was just like, I don't know, it was just like really put me in that kind of atmosphere of, I don't know, but that's one. I went off on that one because that one flip flops between being my favorite, but three is Superman 2 probably.
Okay.
Classic one.
Richard Donner cut or the theatrical cut?
Oh man, it depends on the day. I don't know, because I'll like sometimes the Richard Donner cut will be on like TV and I'll watch the whole thing, and when I think of it right now, I can't distinguish the differences because I haven't seen it in a while.
Okay, yeah.
I haven't rewatched.
I know there's less bits. Those. That's all I know. There's less funny parts in the Donner version.
Okay, yeah, because it's very much like kidified. And obviously it's Superman. He's a children's character. Yeah, obviously, but General Zod is classic in that, and I actually, this is just a segue. I'm gonna just show Man of Steel some love. I do love Man of Steel a lot. I saw that in theaters with my dad right when it came out. Just a great experience, going to that. And then I guess number 4, Back to the Future, which probably deserves to be higher on the list. But Back to the Future Part 2. I'm a big prop guy. I love props. It's literally something that like I'll watch movies just to see these like things show up. Yeah. And I am obsessed with the Nike Air Mag. It's like my dream sneaker. It might be really cliche. I know everybody loves or wants them because they're like $10,000 or whatever. But I don't know. I just love how I feel like for a sequel, Back to the Future Part 2 just like knocked it out of the park. And I don't know, Biff Tannen.
I'm the opposite of a sneakerhead, by the way. These shoes I've had since high school.
That's not a bad thing at all.
I don't think I've bought new shoes since high school. So
it was a bad. I used to be in my freshman year. I had like 50 pairs.
Oh wow!
This is completely off topic.
I love the look of
bad.
Like Air Jordans, but I could never wear them because I live in the middle of nowhere. So it's like, I'll probably step in like stick and poop, and then it's like, well, it's over.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, the one thing about them is they're good investments. Actually, surprisingly, you're able to like flip money on them decently. But I don't know. That's where that is.
Yeah.
But,
recently though, I've been watching Twin Peaks. I'm rewatching, I suppose. I'm doing a whole retrospective on it. The goal is to drive all the way out to the real town of Twin Peaks out in Washington.
Oh, cool.
And do like a whole like film sequences there, like recreate like the part where Dale Cooper goes into the town for the first time and he's like, Diane, awesome. It is, and he like says the whole monologue.
I love those videos. Those are like some of my favorite videos ever on YouTube of people going to the filming locations. I'm
trying to shed some pounds for that too, and then like cut my hair so it looks just like Dale Cooper's and dye it black and everything and like do the whole bit. But because I want to go through like, where they have like the real diner and everything and like try to, even though a lot of that was filmed on a set, but I still want to try to track all of it down. I'm on The Return right now because they did seasons 1, 2, they did a movie, and then season 3, The Return 25 years later. And it's like, I love The Return, but it's like, it's 18 hours. So it's just, there's so much to talk about for this retrospective that it's like, oh my gosh, I have notes and pages and pages and pages. And it's like, and the problem too is it's like, it's also sad because a lot of the cast, it's like they're very old by that time. Like if you think like the new trilogy for Star Wars, like if they were old, like a lot of them, like Log Lady is like, I think she died like days after they finished filming her scenes. So it's like, you get this vibe of it's like, it's very, very sad, but it's still like, it's just a phenomenal show. And, again, David Lynch is just a legend. So it's one of those where like, it's difficult kind of going through it because you see like where the studio interference kind of happens at parts and it's like, oh, I just wish I could have seen his whole vision uninterrupted. But
well, that's awesome though that you're doing that and building off of that and I guess just one last kind of like as we finish up here, what are some things to look out for Firewood Media?
Well, I'm still doing the Godzilla videos. I cover Godzilla stuff. I'm doing a retrospective project right now where I'm going through every movie in depth, and I go over the behind the scenes stuff, the plot itself, but then I go heavily into like the analysis, and then talk about the international versions. I just covered Godzilla versus Megalon at the time of recording, and I'm slowing down to about weekly uploads now as opposed to near daily.
You've been churning out stuff, and I'm trying to get to that.
So hopefully by the time this comes out, I should still that should be the most recent upload.
Nice.
But right now I'm working on the Zone Fighter retrospective, which was a show that Godzilla appeared in, so I have to cover it in the retrospective. But the goal is to have every movie and TV show that's ever been made with Godzilla out and like retrospective on it, like completely in depth. And right now it's about 7 hours and I've only covered maybe like half of the Showa era, and there's 4 total eras. Wow. So it's going to be a really long video. Like the shows are going to
look forward to.
Yeah. I'm also doing an Ultraman retrospective and a Gamera one, like on those as well. But I'm going to finish up the Showa stuff, which are like the 60s, 70s movies. And then I'm going to go into Gamera and Ultraman just to kind of like break it up a bit, because I want to have the Godzilla series finished by the time that like the new MonsterVerse movie comes out, to kind of like cap it up, or cap it on there. But beyond that, short films, more just kind of miscellaneous stuff. The big video that I'm working on right now is on the movie Nope, the Jordan Peele one.
Oh yeah, I saw that you had a community post about that.
Yeah. So I'm kind of right now feeding.
It's a cool movie.
Yeah, I'm trying to get like opinions from people to kind of get like the vibe of like what's the reception. But that's a really long one right now. But I'm gonna try to kind of cut it down because I do talk. That's anytime I love a movie so much, like the script ends up being like 30 pages, and it's like I need to cut this down.
I mean, that's a sign you know what you're talking about. So
yeah. Beyond that, I got some music in the works with my band, The Ideal. And
just had a show.
Yeah, we
yesterday.
No,
2 days
2 days ago. 2 days ago.
And then you were filming the music video yesterday.
That was for a separate band, yeah. And that I'm not in. That was just a gig for hire kind of thing. But with The Ideal, it's we debuted some new songs on Saturday, which is really sick. And we're working on some projects. I'm not going to say what specifically, but we should have an album out by summer. That's kind
exciting.
of the plan, and then one
That's
out for
exciting, dude.
Halloween. That's kind of the very loose expectation. Of
But,
course, stuff is fluid,
I
but
mean, not only, yeah, that's exciting, and like it's like a whole kind of, it's like Kevin Feige over here, phases of his plant. No, I'm sorry.
it's just so
I'm
funny
sorry.
because originally I was just the rhythm guitarist. I met up with at the time he was the guitarist and lead vocalist, and he was like, hey, do you want to come like film the gig? And I'm like, well, I could do music too if you want. He's like, well, what do you play? I'm like, I can do bass. He's like, well, we already have a bassist. And I'm like, all right, I can do rhythm. I had no experience with rhythm guitar, so I learned it really quick, and then I did Godzilla by
Dude, I need to
Oyster
see
Cult.
some music videos. I was like,
Yeah.
I saw the post because obviously we've been in touch for this interview, and I'd seen that you had a show coming up soon. So I was like, oh, I gotta keep an eye out for this. I did not know that you were you were in a band.
Yeah,
but that's awesome.
That started
so
in
cool.
October of last year when I joined up. So, and basically now I'm the lead vocalist and and only guitarist because we're now a 3-piece, I guess, kind of, maybe.
Right.
It depends. We're going through some lineup changes, maybe, but
Gotcha.
Who knows? So it's exciting.
It's
a lot in the works. Yeah.
Sheesh. I mean, no, that's like, I feel like that's just where you want to be as a creative individual, though. It's like when you just have stuff to look forward to and to keep working on. It's like, I mean, just kind of, I don't know. And that's all you can do at the end of the day. It's like, just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And keep looking towards that next project, and don't get so hung up on the outcome of one project or this or the other. And, I mean,
after this, I'll play some like stuff that we have recorded, that's studio stuff. But
yes, please,
awesome,
man. Yeah, sheesh. This has been great. We originally came out here and we're like, oh,
it's gonna be a 40-minute
30
recording.
to 40 minutes. It's been almost 2 hours, and if you've listened up until here, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so cool. But this has just been so fun, and like an excuse to just hang out with the bro. Like honestly, I haven't seen dude in years, and
since.
I mean, we've been just setting up our lives and kind of getting things like, I mean, because last time I saw you and where Firewood Media was at, I mean, it was.
I don't even think I was at 1,000 subs, right? I think I was still like
a couple hundred, but you were. I mean, you were. You had multiple. I mean, you had a couple feature-length films, and like, I think you were just finishing up Wayward Sons.
I think Wayward Sons is kind of the big thing,
But like, still, kicking butt, and here we are. Going strong, and I feel like we got some really exciting stuff coming out in the future.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna try to get some more guests as compelling as Mr. McCormack over here.
Oh, that's gonna be an easy feat for sure.
Dude, dude, man, we could be talking for more.
Yeah,
time.
I think
we didn't
so.
even really get into a lot of nitty gritty of like. I don't know, like when it comes to breaking down, because I know personally,
even the Godzilla stuff I barely talked about, which is fine. It's nice actually not kind of talking about that.
Yeah, talking more about other stuff, airing out more other things that Yeah. No, this has been great, dude.
Cool.
This is awesome. Sheesh.
I'm posting it on the channel and everything.
I will
community post.
Yeah, I'll keep you updated as I kind of get it edited and stuff. But yeah, this has been great. Check out Firewood Media, and subscribe. Check out the. Is your band on there too? Or
we have a YouTube account, but there's like maybe 4 videos up. It's just like live stuff that we've posted.
Nice.
But
nice, cool.
So cool.
Watching it. Nice. Well, man, this was a pleasure.
Absolutely.
This is great. Until next time, thank you for watching the Road Between Realities podcast. Mr. Paul McCormack. I'm signing off here. But nice.
Appreciate it.
Cool.